Right. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. My computer. I really need to get it. So that's what you call professionalism, that isn't it?
Yes.
Having just a computer just crash in the middle. Well, the reason being, this computer that I use, I built myself, which wasn't an easy task, and it was like the first time I'd ever built a computer. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Just kind of spent 3 days putting it together. And to be fair, I've got a good 3 or 4 years out of it. But unfortunately, there was a couple of things I got wrong, and every now and again, it just fucks up basically. So I do apologise, and you two guys didn't even know I was gone.
No, we were again, as you call it, mindless prattle. We kept going on.
Well,
Um,
it's. I think we got into some very interesting details of Lorne's case, but
okay, well, is there any way? I'm trying to remember when I kind of cut. You were just talking about the sex offender class and how he failed the polygraph. I think I remember wanting to speak about that. I think you were going into a bit of detail, Shin. So we would pick up from there.
Oh, if anybody heard this before, I apologize for reinventing the wheel here. Um, Boy, what do I say? Did we get into his therapy program in terms of an example of one of his written assignments? Um, the
I don't think we discussed that. But
Okay.
just for the
Well, let's
case of
go over.
anyone who doesn't know, he had like a written. I think most people know this. He had a written assignment. I think the
Right.
information's in the dump, isn't it? Where they asked him, "What was? Do you remember what the question was?"
Well, there's a lot, but again, I think what the theme here is that I believe that there's a correlation between his failed polygraph test and getting thrown out of rape class, and I believe that that is the bigger issue before the court. I believe that he believes it's only alcohol, and of course, getting himself set up in another program. He thinks okay, I failed it this time. I'll just do it again. No, it doesn't work like that. It's not taking. And again, I apologize, folks, if I already read this, but this is an example of his assignment, and you could only guess what his responses are. What was your sexually abusive behavior that resulted in you being referred here? Can you imagine what he'd say about that? I'm going to go past that. How do you feel about committing the sexual offenses? How do you believe your victims feel about being sexually abused by you? Whose fault is it that sexual abuse occurred? What do you think you need to do to no longer sexually abuse? The last one, I think, is their biggest concern, because he's not even acknowledged that he's a sexual abuser. And I believe that he's had tons of polygraphs, probably more than most probationers.
Well, he
Where,
can't acknowledge it, can it? Because he doesn't believe he is one, and he never did. Even when he was having those great conversations with Tiffany, well, they were entertaining to listen to, he didn't really believe it. He never fully understood what he was. He just sees himself as a normal guy who's been wronged by the world. It's like, I think people who commit certain crimes, and when people go through with the act. So, for other words, if someone had have actually committed that offence, he did commit an offence, but the physical act of child molestation, they
right,
have to at that point acknowledge what they've done, because he didn't see it through, because he didn't get the opportunity, not that he didn't want to. And that's a
right,
convenient thing for him in his kind of victim mentality, isn't it? Because he can always convince himself that he never would have done anything, and that he
yeah,
never meant to do it, and he was going to
exactly.
turn back.
Yeah, he's hanging his hat, always hanging his hat on the fact that there isn't an actual victim in this case, always. And so these questions are difficult for him to square in his own little mind. Um, but I believe what happened was, I think that every time he gets a polygraph, they ask him more than about his alcohol use. They don't set that thing up just for that reason. They could always just test him, urinalysis or even a breathalyzer. It's not too hard to catch him. But in terms of past alcohol use, I can understand it. But you wouldn't set it up for that, because I don't think that violation is going to be enough to get the kind of severe repercussions that he's seeing right now. I think that the polygraph also included questions that are typically given to predators or pedophiles, and that usually involves, are you attracted to children? Or do you still have attraction? Were you ever whatever it is? He probably was deceptive, and he probably failed it on that level too. And it's no coincidence in my mind, at least in my theory, that they threw him out of rape class right after that. So I think this case has more to do with what he's doing in that class, and also possibly outside of that class. Like I said this in one comment. I said all probation would have to ask, or the prosecutor would have to ask him if he's stupid enough to take the stand. Which, oh my God, I couldn't believe if any lawyer would let him do that. But all they'd have to ask is, Mr. Armstrong, how many naked photos of yourself did you send to someone you've never met or verified their age? That's pretty much it.
I don't think they'd ask that question though, would they?
You never know what's in their file. That's what I would love.
I'd love to look. Some of the questions that I'd love to have been privy to those conversations he had with his therapist, who said that his problem was he couldn't say no. I mean, what the
therapist
fuck?
just there.
Well, it goes.
You couldn't say no.
Yeah.
I don't think any therapist could have really told him that. He just can't have been listening.
Yeah, or he cherry picked that out of what the therapist was saying. It may have been taken totally out of context. It doesn't matter. A sociopath not only has a selective memory, but also has selective attention.
What surprises me is the amount of polygraphs he's passed already. Is
Who
those
knows?
the kind of questions that he was being asked?
He's lied quite a bit. I mean, according to if you saw the amount of times I think every write-up, I think he's had 4 or 5 he's failed. All seem to be alcohol related though. At that point.
Do you know what's funny? Is how he continually fails rape class, right, and never actually raped anyone. Not through lack of trying, but the people that have passed have actually done something. He hasn't, and still can't pass.
Maybe we've got it all wrong. Maybe rape classes actually got to rape someone to graduate.
Maybe, can you imagine, like, how was rape class today, dear? Oh, not bad. I'm starting to get the hang of the floor waxer.
I got homework. Yeah. So and did we go over the issue, Adam? You were a little confused about his potential penalties on this, real quick. I don't know if anybody heard that before.
So I was asking you how long he could possibly get and the likelihood of it.
Yeah, we know now it's 3 years, and that's what the statute says too. So they're asking for the max. That kind of tells you how motivated they are. And also, they're not making a deal with him right now. Oh my God! I mean,
would you like to sorry, Shim? Would you like to explain what you mean by that? Because I'm not 100% certain. So when you say they're not willing to make a deal, like they did at his original trial, where they said, right, if you don't plead guilty to
because they got him.
Yeah, but with this one, what kind of deal would they be able to make?
I think because they got him too. I think they got him. I think they have enough where they don't need to. Number one, but you would at least have something on the table. You would have, even after the detention hearing, and that was 3 weeks after he was incarcerated, and his attorney was appointed a week or two before that. The first thing the attorney would do is pick up and talk to probation and find out what they want to do with the case. And if there's any deals to be made, Lorne would know about it because he has to make the decision. So I think that there's a good chance that they want to go to hearing.
Will he be given we call it legal aid in the UK, because he obviously can't afford
he's got
an attorney. He'd be given a free one.
Mm-hmm. He's got a federal defender because his liberty's at stake here, and they would appoint things for that. And that's another good point, Adam. The fact that they appointed a federal defender to tell you the seriousness of the case. They want to make sure that he gets a fair hearing.
I think what they should do is the whole judicial system should come together and make some kind of comedy law court system where Lorne has to represent himself, and in the jury you've got Chris Hansen, Casey Moreau, the head of Perverted Justice, NBC's chairman, Derek, Dr. Moore, both Kayla's mum and dad, all these people, in the jury. 12 people that you come up with, of Lorne's most... So, who does Lorne hate most in the world? The person who invented the internet? The fucking internet!
I think Xavier's up there.
Yeah.
all these people in the jury, we find the defendant guilty on all charges. Court.
So anyway, my plans got all screwed up thanks to Lorne. He somehow found a way to fuck me. I was scrambling to get the third, be
Nathaniel in the jury as well. That'd be a good one.
So I'm going to do what I'm 90% sure I'm going to be there for October 1st too. So if anybody,
that is great news. Anybody that doesn't know, Shin was going to go to the original hearing date, which was it the 4th of September?
The 3rd, next Tuesday, yeah.
Oh right, and other people I believe were planning to go as well, but just anybody that didn't catch it before, the new date is the 1st of October.
That's a Tuesday too.
Shin, do you just want to say where it is in case anybody can make it? Because
yeah, it's in Bangor Federal Courthouse for the Federal District of Maine. I don't have the address or anything like that. We could just look it up, but it's about 3.5 hours from me. But I originally had somebody flying out here for the 3rd, and I'm kind of hoping I can convince her to come back up for the 1st too. So we're gonna have fun on the 3rd anyway. But this kind of destination vacation idea. Can you imagine a weirder, cooler idea?
It's fantastic. I feel like Adam, me and you should get together a GoFundMe and go over there and see if you know what I mean. And
it's only a month away.
I know. Just imagine the comedy potential.
It's Maine. It's not too hard to get to from New York, is it? And you can fly to New York pretty cheap.
We could dress up as like characters that Lorne hates. I'm just trying to think what's in his brain that, like, I don't know whether you'd be able to dress up as Nathaniel or Derek or
well, here's the thing. According to Ember, he is pulling out a call. He's doing a call of action for all people in the community to show up at the hearing. He thinks that they're going to support him.
Wow.
And so that actually, when I heard that made me feel a lot better, because the last thing I need is to worry about security staring at me. Because his defense lawyer put him on to me. But now I could easily say I'm here as an observer, first of all, as a citizen, and second of all, I was told that he wanted people here to support him. So I'm not really concerned about causing a problem or anything like that. And if he wants if he wants somebody to come up from the community and give him a character evidence, I would love to do that.
We'll see if we could get like his defense solicitor drunk the night before and just say, listen, dude, we'll all pay you $1,000 if you can get quotes from the chat log in his defense statement. You know what I mean? My client never meant to do it. He was raised by his mom. He was messed up at the time. Please, Your Honor, just slip all these little nuggets in there.
I actually get a kick out of the idea that his lawyer is most likely looking at everything online about him right now. It has to be. I mean, if you want research, there it is.
Oh man, can you imagine?
You have to, otherwise you're not doing your job.
But imagine this, right? Because this is obviously what's happened, right? The public defender is obviously not going to know about the community. They may know about To Catch a Predator. Let's look at it logically. The chances of them remembering him from the show are minimal. Like, what, 1 in 1,000, something like that? So they're going to have no idea who Lorne is. They might read somewhere that he got done. They might not even know about the show. Think about it, right? You get the case papers, and it says got done in 2007 for attempted child molestation. It might not have specific details on the sting. They might just say sting operation. It might not even have in the case papers that it was connected to NBC.
Yeah, but again, the first thing the attorney will do is contact the probation, and probation will fill him in on everything.
So can you imagine then if that person's like, oh, right, okay. And then, like you said, he just decides to type his name in. Because initially, what you would generally do is you probably put his name in on Google before you went on YouTube, wouldn't you?
You go right to YouTube.
So no, but that's what we'd do. But I'm saying, if you don't know much about what's gone on, you probably go on Google first and you go, fucking hell, look at all this shit. And then when you do a search on Google, even YouTube videos come up, don't they, as like, further down the page. And then you'd be thinking, fucking hell, look at all this. And then you go on YouTube. Can you imagine your mind would just be fucking blown?
YouTube. I think the Google will take you right to YouTube. By the way, were you the one that I'm trying to remember who did that Wikipedia on Lorne Armstrong?
Yeah, the one where I just
Famous
Lawns, and then it just said Lawns, American sex offender.
Lorne Green, Lorne, famous hockey
Lorne
player.
Lamming, Lorne Armstrong.
American pedophile.
I lost my shit doing that.
So, but I think that's been taken down since.
Yeah, it was with my old channel. I don't think I've still got that video, to be honest. It might actually.
Celine, awesome. Celine's the one who put it on Wikipedia.
Oh, that is brilliant. You deserve a medal for that, Celine.
That's awesome. I wish I got a screenshot of that.
Oh yeah, you did an in-depth one. I remember.
Is that video still taken down? That's worth.
I think I may still have that. Somewhere. I think it was on the old. Do you know that channel that decided to rip my channel?
Yeah, you talk about it a lot.
Well,
I think no. I think that's the first time I've mentioned it. Like as long as I can remember.
This week.
Yeah.
You happened to mention it more than I did, Adam. Initially, as I recall.
I know. I went out to bat for you.
Yeah, but I didn't care.
Okay, sing to me. Federal defenders push for police. Well, they definitely listen for them, and if there was one, they have to relay it to the client, regardless of whether they say it's a good deal or not. The client still has the decision to make. But my point before was, according to Lawrence Communications, there's been no deal that's offered to him, and that's very unusual, because on the outset of the case, the prosecutor at least asks, or attempts to make a deal for something close to, what the penalty would be. And as the case gets further along, you might see the deal get better and better. But in this case, and they settle like 95 to 98% of these cases.
Yeah, because even when he goes into prison, he'll probably get out early for good behaviour, for like sucking off the wardens.
There was something that you wanted to, something that was on your mind, Adam, because you've been watching. Is it Mindhunter on Netflix?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
and it's been kind of like. From what I remember us talking about, it's kind of pointed you in the neural direction of Lorne, like a lot of things do, and you've been thinking that it's something that's been talked about a lot before. We are covering old ground like we always do, but the sort of linking Lorne to being a sociopath, which would seem pretty obvious if you look at what sociopath is.
yeah.
He does seem to tick virtually every box. You're convinced, Shin, that he is one, and obviously you've got experience with dealing with lots of sociopaths. One would assume.
Yeah, well, not diagnosing them, but already diagnosed. Yeah, but it's not really that. I mean, you could look at it from an academic standpoint. Just step back, like you said. There's a checklist you can go over. The biggest one is his mask. But the thing is, his mask is in tatters. People could see right through it.
Yeah, but to him it isn't.
Yeah, to him, he thinks it's concrete.
But I think he truly believes his excuses and his lies. That's the only reason he could have passed so many polygraphs already. Like, why would this one polygraph be the one that has the questions about children?
Good question. Okay, it goes back to my other theory.
Yeah.
I think now they know about the real victims, and I think they also know about the child porn, and also about his.
But I mean, the reason he went to jail and the reason he's been on parole is all to do with kids. So why would this sixth polygraph or something like that?
Yeah.
Is that the one that he's now failed? Surely in earlier ones he would have been asked those questions. It seems funny that the whole routine, like if he claims they're all alcohol.
I think your point is well taken. I think he may have passed the polygraphs on those questions before, but now they know the answer. That's the whole point. I mean, I think that, and the ones where he was deceptive was the alcohol one. So again, this is just speculation. How could you not try to research everything you can about the guy you're either defending or putting away? And, at some point, I know we've taken videos down and things like that, but at some point, that's and remember at the time, Andrew, when we were analyzing that, I said this is going to result in something, and now I didn't. Obviously, I couldn't predict everything, but I knew it was such a bombshell that if probation ever got wind of it, something would have had to been done.
I've never understood that though, because if they get wind of it, what can they do? There's no tangible evidence there that they can use, is there? Is kind of admittance on an internet video is nothing, is it?
Well, again, they could have refined their polygraph questions. Could have done a few things.
But that wouldn't get him a new sentence, would it? That would only do what's happened now and get him back because he's violated probation. But just a quick question, Shin. When you say the maximum he can get 3 years, is that what offence is that? Is that violating the terms of his probation? Where does that 3 years come from?
That's the revocation statute. And the penalties, there are penalties for 1, 3, and 5 years on that statute. I believe 1 is what it is. The first one is, but 3 and 5, and those penalties correspond with the level of the felony. So a Class B or Class C would be a 1 year. Class B, which is Lorne, is 3 years, meaning the underlying case that he had, the attempted solicitation. And then Class A is much bigger crimes, obviously. And if you violate probation in that circumstance, you could look up to 5 years. So in this case, they're looking for the Class B designation, which is 3 years, and they're looking for the max. So, yeah.
What is the actual charge he's being charged for? Like, it's violations of parole, but at the same time, you're saying it's while he finally this polygraph test, which might have asked about kids.
There are three bases for it. One is the use of alcohol with zero tolerance at this point. It used to be excessive use. The second is his suspension from rape class, and the third is his impermissible use of the internet. Those are the three, and I believe 2 and 3 are much bigger than 1.
Yeah, Tiffany mentioned in the comment before that he's been he got done for having possession of a smartphone and getting someone else to use the internet for him. Right. So I think it was when someone did his YouTube channel. I think it was like Ramona or whatever.
Yes. Do you think that the reason he's suddenly failed is due to these questions, which may have just recently appeared on the polygraph in regards to his dealings with victims about children?
Yeah. Well, I think they realize what kind of an animal they're dealing with. It's not that dopey guy that came in initially, that sad sack that just caught up in it, this opportunist guy who tripped over his microdeck. I don't know
what. But that's not technically a charge that they could really get him for on the parole thing, though, is it? Like, they couldn't say you've been having thoughts about kids.
They ask about that.
So they send you to jail. It would have to be something like the use of alcohol.
Well, yeah, that's their hook,
for
sure. And they can't say they didn't give enough chances either. But and I think 6 or 7 to date. But the internet access, the finding the phone, and also failing the rape class, we don't know what's underlying the failure of the rape class. But to me, it's clear it has something to do with dishonesty. It's clear. And what that is, we could speculate about.
There was never a man more honest than Lorne Armstrong.
Yeah, I've never met a man less reformed just out of prison in my life.
That's quite a statement coming from you, Shin, isn't it?
No, I'm telling you, sometimes you could look at people and say, well, once a criminal, always a criminal. That's him. That's him.
But he doesn't even realize he's being a criminal. I don't
That's
think.
it. That's exactly right.
And it's not like he's a thief or
has what they call the requisite criminal intent. Yeah. Just things he does, which are stupid, but they're criminal.
But what about the drink driving, though? He knows that that's illegal. He knows that that's wrong.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't give a shit. If you look at all these conditions that he has here on this sex offender program, he's just basically threw them right out the window. Every one of them.
I would say, like, somewhere like small town Maine is probably quite similar to how it is here in Scotland, and people like go to like pubs in the middle of nowhere that you can only get to by driving, and it's quite obvious everyone drives there, gets pissed and drives home. And I think some places are just kind of conditioned, or like it's not seen as that big of a deal as it should be in some places, and I think that's why he thinks he can get away with it. Although he does it all the time to Tony's, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's almost like he thinks that his little world represents the entire world. It's really weird. That's what I think fits into his delusions. You know, he thinks he's better than everybody else around him, who aren't really great to begin with, and he thinks the rest of the world is like that.
His singing, like every time I've heard him sing on more recent calls, it just gets worse and worse. Like he's just fucking screaming.
Logan, you're right. He must be. Well, I think he sounded like he was detoxed, and he sounded like he was okay.
When was that?
I'm just looking. I'm responding to Logan's comment. Lorne's got to be looking a lot like SpongeBob without water, since he's off beer right now. I think he's probably the healthiest he's ever been. He's got his infections taken care of. His teeth, whatever has got to be done there. He's detoxed and he's not smoking.
That's why I said in the last video that I did that he belongs in prison, and it's like a few people don't agree, and I get that, because legally you can't.
He should go to prison for his drink driving. Like, it depends whether he comes out reformed or not.
Well, that's the point I'm making. Is the evidence is overwhelming that he will never change, and he's always putting people's lives at risk with his drink driving. There's different ways of looking at it. You know, it's part of law. You can't just bang someone away because you want to. You've got to act within the jurisdiction of the law and sentences and all that, so people have the opportunity to rehabilitate. But when you've got someone who demonstrates that he can't rehabilitate and is continually a risk, he's a predator, he drink drives.
Okay, here's an ethical question for you, Andy. Like, if someone was just a repeat drink driver and just couldn't stop drink driving, do they deserve life in prison? Take away all the other elements.
Well, it deserve. I don't know whether that. It depends. But I just look at it from the perspective of whatever it takes to protect innocent people in extreme circumstances.
He should definitely have his driving license taken off.
But that wouldn't make any difference, would it?
Well, he wouldn't be allowed to drive.
No, but he'd still drive. Like, if someone drink drives continuously, having no driving license won't make any difference. Like in England, if someone gets caught without a driving license, they get banned from driving for 12 months. How can you get banned from driving when you can't drive in the fucking first place? It's a little bit like getting banned from playing 10 Premier League games. You'd be like, okay, what difference does that make? So I just think that, you know, because I theorised in the last video what would happen if he killed a child. I know that's an extreme, crude thing to say, but it's a possibility, and it's something that you have to think about. And this isn't.
He almost hit a school bus.
Yeah, and this isn't. You know, this is a guy who's a predator, who doesn't know he's a predator. I don't. Like I said, the sort of catfishing thing, whilst funny, isn't the highest thing to do, because someone. It's a strange situation, really, because we know Lorne's never going to change, so it doesn't seem to be doing any harm, and he kind of invites it. That's what I like about the Tiffany stuff. Is she tells him, she says, "I would never go anywhere near you. Fuck off, leave me alone. Blah blah blah. You're a fuckwit. Blah blah blah." And he still says, "Give me a chance. You need to give me a chance." Where that kind of arrogance comes from, I'll never fucking understand. Never.
Yeah, I know. And if she pulls away, then his responses are typical. One is, well, you never loved me to begin with. So what does that say about you? So come back because I guilt you into it. And I can't remember the second response. Tiffany, you might remember if you're still here. What was it? Okay, sing to me. Yeah, he didn't almost hit a school bus. What he did was he drove past the warning lights and the big stop sign and the neon around him saying stop, and he just drove past the school bus. And the school bus driver apparently reported him. I guess I don't know if he went by in a high rate of speed, but all it takes in that situation is for a kid to be walking across the street from the front of the bus.
The thing is, as well, let's think about. Let's just talk a minute for about. Let's just say Lorne gets out in 1 year, right? In 1 year's time, there's no job. Roy's got his trailer. Mother Gwen, God bless her soul, may not be here anymore. Sorry?
Roy's got the land.
Yeah. Tiffany won't speak to him anymore.
Roscoe and Sadie turned on him.
Yeah. They devoured all his belongings, so he's got no gear left. He's got nothing. What would he do?
He's being set up for failure again. But because not only that, he's gonna be required to be paying for his rape class from now on.
How much is that, Shin? Have you got any idea?
Well, the one that the state
How much is rape class, Adam? How much did you pay, pal?
£20.
Adam, didn't you get a scholarship?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got sponsored.
He's wearing the hat right now.
It's
$90.
The best rapist.
Got a pair of underwear on top.
He has to come up with $90 at the time of the session, and if he doesn't, it's a violation, and he'll be turned away. So, and the new program, I guess, if I can remember the program, I guess it's a lot more expensive. It's like 3 or 4 times more, and I guess it's a private program. It's not with the government, and that's the only one that will accept him now. So he's going to have to come up with a chunk of change every week to comply with rape school, in addition to having some kind of a support system around him with a stable home and job and all this other stuff that he kind of built up, and now it's all gone.
So I suppose what I'm saying is, let's say, as much as we can debate whether it's right or wrong that he stays behind bars, what chance has he got when he gets out? Because he's not going to stay in there forever. We've got to be realistic. What chance, unless he commits further violations when he's inside, which I don't think he's got the balls to do. What chance has he got of reforming when he's out? Is there going to be any hope for him? Will there be the support for him? Because there's no point releasing him, right? There's no point releasing him and saying, right, there you go, you've got no money, you've got no job, you're a sex offender, you've got to pay $90 a week for your rape class, don't do anything bad, see you later. It's not going to happen, is it? You've got to give him you've got to give him a realistic opportunity to reform, otherwise you might as well keep him locked up.
Yeah, but the conditions are not that hard.
No, I agree. For a normal person, they're not that hard, but we're not talking about a normal person.
Think about rape school for a second.
I always think about rape school.
All you have to do is admit everything and say you're not going to do it again. Yeah. Instead of, how you just play the game even if you think you're innocent. How stupid can you be to keep protesting, keep trying your case that's long gone?
Do you think that's the whole reason he keeps failing?
Yes.
Rape school.
Look what the counselor said. The counselor said right here on the end of November of 2017. It's really important. Hang on a second. Give me a second. Client needs to demonstrate to me he will not sexually reoffend. And this is a 2017 contract. This is 5 years into it, rape school, and they still need him to convince them that he won't reoffend.
How does he not manage to convince them?
I don't know. That's where pride and delusion comes in. It also helps him with a polygraph.
Like, but so I mean, do they not like get angry? Just be like, "Are you gonna fuck a kid?" Well, maybe. Like he just can't say no. Like it's the opposite of his problem.
No, his answer is, I never did, I never would, I never have, never had any, any feelings toward it, anything like that. But it's really interesting. Maybe they didn't hear the real victim phone call or the child pornography, but it's in his mind now. So if he's asked that question again, chances are he's going to be deceptive. So as much as Tiffany brought the truth out in him and for the world and for probation, if they care to use it, they brought it out for him. And even if he chooses to resist it or not believe it, it's still in the back of his mind, and he's going to come out as deceptive on that question now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like refreshing his recollection. So now it would be more difficult. And then immediately what happened on that? The result of that was, boom, you're out of rape class. You don't get to go to graduation this June.
Well, he's been in it for like 6 fucking years, hasn't he? Anyway.
Is it? Didn't he? Hasn't he been in there since day one? Since he was released?
Yeah, like I think since he left prison, which was how long ago?
I think this shows a massive psychological issue here. We're not talking. There's obviously sociopathic traits, but we're talking about some major psychological condition, trauma, or something. Because these, major psychosis or something here. Because listen, I don't know why this is a realization. It's something that has been theorized by us lornographers for years. Is there some kind of, I don't like using that word, but retardation or massive mental health issues, some kind of autism, Asperger's or something, because the level of delusion that this guy suffers from is beyond. This is why we are talking about this now. This is why this why people are listening to me prattle on about this guy. This is why I've had dates walk away from me because I've prattled on about fucking Lorne Armstrong. Because the level of it's like we were talking before, Shin, weren't we? Can you imagine if someone read his lawsuit and hadn't seen To Catch a Predator? They would be wanting to contact Netflix about another Making a Murderer, but calling it Making a Paedophile. They'd be like, this guy has been stitched up. Do you know what I mean? This guy...
Imagine doing a parody using Lorne's clips and making it look like NBC had done it and calling it Making a Pedo.
But can you imagine, like, you could quote sections from the lawsuit and say, female powers, oh my god, this woman had magic powers as well, this lad had no chance. You know what I mean? She was using magic spells to, like...
She was shooting fucking rainbows out of her vagina.
But you can imagine, like, oh my god, they busted him on his birthday on purpose as well. It's like, how sick can these guys get?
Twisted motherfuckers. They just wanted to make it as bad as possible for this poor...
He was just a good old boy.
He had a promising career in country and western singing.
Oh, he'd never done anything wrong before. He wanted to befriend and protect. Hang on a minute. He never even... It was the decoy that kept him on sexual topics.
Yeah, he never even meant to do it.
Yes. And he was actually a test driver for those new self-driving cars that unintendedly traveled to the house. That's what happened. So
yeah, he just couldn't turn off.
I can't stop this thing.
Turn-offs on that highway, is there?
Program it. I don't get autopilot off.
Once you're on the road to Bowling Green, you're not stopping until you get to Bowling Green.
And go into the house. We won't start the car up until you go in the house and do your business.
Yeah, you got to go to Bowling Green and get that sweet pussy.
Yeah, he's pretty locked up. That's for sure. With his delusions.
What we could do, Adam, this could be one of them crazy ideas that we come up with that never happens. Let's do a Making a Murderer parody called Making a Pedo.
That would be awesome. I was trying to think of a vehicle to write a script around. That would be great.
Well, yeah, we'll do it around Lorne.
Yeah, it would be the Lorne cam. We'd use real footage.
Exactly.
The thing is, you could get him to sign anything. You could wave something in front of him and come up with some
Oh, you don't
crazy
have to.
story.
No, you don't need him. You don't need him.
You can
Absolutely
make
not.
an anonymous style video with a mask
You don't
on.
even have to do that. He's newsworthy. He's
Say-
newsworthy. You know, you don't need his permission. You don't need a release from him. He's totally newsworthy. It's again fair use.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, what the fuck's he gonna do about anything?
the people you got to worry about is NBC and the images you want to use and all the photographs.
Oh, especially with Chris Hansen's latest brain fuck. So,
yeah, Lorne has no rights. And that's the other thing, by the way.
His latest brain fuck.
Oh, I forgot to say one more thing. There's another violation that he has, but hasn't been mentioned in any of the paperwork, but it's interesting. It says that the defendant should never open up new credit lines or take on new debts without permission from probation. Didn't he just buy a car or something with $600 debt, and he's. So, I mean, what I'm saying is if you look through the contract, there's violations everywhere, practically every term. You could go through a scenario where he violated it.
That's probably very likely because something like the car, that will leave a paper trail. Like his drinking, he can probably get away with to it.
Yes, you go with the best evidence.
Yeah.
But, but the whole idea is for him to stop creating victims out there, even if it's a credit union or a bank that's giving him a car loan. He just does that. He's a victimizer. But I forgot about that. And there's a whole bunch of things that he's violated. But like we agree that they're just going to go after, the stuff that's like shooting fish out of a barrel, just really easy stuff. And apparently the judge has heard it many, many times and decided he's too dangerous to let go.
Will they be using any of like the phone calls and stuff in evidence of his drink driving?
Well, yeah, you never know. But he also sent the judge a letter too.
Did he?
Yeah.
Please let me go home. Do you know who I am?
No, it wasn't like that at all. It was defiant. It was defiant. It was
defiant.
My ass. Yeah. Oh yeah. Get probation off my ass. Basically, he didn't say it like that, but here's what happened. And he goes through this scenario where he looks like an idiot and says that I should get alcohol removed from that was the whole purpose. He was trying to get his conditions changed. So, but Lorne's not one for procedure.
Is this letter public record?
No, but it's in the House of Cod forum. The letter's somewhere. It's floating around. Andy, are you still there?
Yeah, House of Cod forum.
Yeah, well, you got to speak once in a while because we don't know if it's just me and Adam talking again.
I was reading through the comments in the chat. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
What were you saying?
Doesn't matter. We're actually talking about basically all of the conditions, including getting new lines of credit that he shouldn't be getting. I think that's pretty much it. I think we got that one down. But I think that we were talking about the seriousness of the case where the judge wouldn't even let him out. The judge who's going to determine his revocation. Yeah,
well, the judge was. What's interesting as well is I think we can talk about it. We don't need to mention that person's name, but Lorne's probation officer really went to town on him at the hearing and petitioned to. We don't know to what extent, but we know that she tore him a new arsehole, as if to say that this guy's a fucking. To put it in my slang Manchester terms, a fucking knobhead, and keep him locked up, please.
I should have gone with that.
His probation officer said that. The lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, she's had enough of him.
Yeah.
Is that because he phones her up and tries and sends
Can you imagine sending your probation officer nude photos?
What do you think of this, Doris?
Maybe this will change your mind to go easy on me at the. Here's a picture of Mr. Penis.
do we really need to meet twice a month? How about I just send you a picture of this twice a month?
Right. You just don't understand.
Oh my god, that'd be so funny. But that's something that you could think he'd do.
Yeah, he'll be like, look at this, it's my literal asshole.
If I knew probation was going to do that, I would have definitely gone to that hearing. I didn't think it was going to be that long, or that comprehensive.
Lorne's in the chat under the name Jerry Anthony. I think he's trying to, like, you know, mask himself so he doesn't get caught by the prison. But Lorne's just told us that his probation officer's seen him naked anyway. In real life.
Unfortunately, yes, you have to. If you get that file on your desk, you have no choice. You got to know everything about him, the naked truth, everything, warts and all.
Right, out of all three of us, have we all seen Lorne's penis?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of them things that you just have to see. You know.
You were gonna say you just have to suck.
Well,
I gotta say though, I have to say the only pics that I was really interested in seeing was the screenshots that Kayla would have seen. That's on the dump. You should check that out.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Different poses and stuff. You know, to me, that was, you know, that kind of got me past what I was looking at, to know that he was doing that with a girl and understanding what was going on, rather than just sending gratuitous pictures out to catfishes.
I think it's important to see Lorne's penis.
Of course you would say.
Well, it's important to him, yes.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, who gets naked all the time just for anyone? Like, it's a weird thing to do.
What, send your penis to people? You do that all the time.
Yeah, but that's because they've asked for it.
No, it isn't. I never asked for it.
Yeah, but you didn't have to. I could see it in your eyes.
Could you now? What, like via Skype audio? That's just you making excuses. I could see it in your eyes. There's my cock.
I could hear it in your voice. Yeah, well, you were all like, well...
Good morning, Andrew. Just something nice for you to start your day.
That's how nonchalant he is about it. You know, it's just like, hey, baby, this is for you. He's, I'm taking a shower now, washing my toes. We know everything about this guy. We know everything when he's in the shower, when he's on the toilet, when he's talking to his mother, when he's at work. There's not one aspect of this guy's life.
Maybe it was more with the Ramona calls, but he did seem to like try and be like, oh, just message me when you're on the toilet, like all the time. Like, well, you can message me when you're on the toilet.
Yeah. Well, that's his way of proposing, I guess.
Yeah, it was, wasn't
it? But the thing is, that was because she was in a crowd of people, and and in order to get privacy, and his immediate reaction is go in the toilet. So what he doesn't tell her is, you're going to be in the toilet for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to have to start wrapping up, guys, because I need to get to bed very soon. And sleep, strangely enough. But obviously first, I'm going to book my next session of the rape class and send some nude photos of myself to people that don't want it.
Just study harder.
Watch out, kids. Andy's coming.
just put a link on the description to your pictures.
Should we start an Andrew Burkitt dump?
Yeah.
If you're 16 or under, you're invited to Andrew Burkitt's nude disco.
Nude disco. I'd be a bit more not necessarily as blatant with the advertising.
It's just a bunch
under 16's pedo naked disco.
Under 16's pedo.
Jesus Christ. Psychology made it. Andrew, what do you think of this?
16's pedo disco.
Psychology writes, I swear Lorne should be a Batman villain. That would be cool. That would be funny.
Lars just said, hold on, Andrew, I'm not done smoking my cigarette.
Hold on. I'm not ready to let go of your voice yet.
Fucking brilliant.
Do you wonder, like, if Lorne 20014 was perhaps the smooth, cool version of Lorne that he only dreams he could have been?
Oh yeah, like that's. Hey, I was just going to do a stream without mentioning The Simpsons, and now I'm going to do it. Do you remember that Simpsons where Professor Frink has that like potion, that love potion, and it turns him into like Mr. Smooth? He's going, hey baby, why don't we get out of here and check out? You know what I mean? He's like, that'd be like Lorne, wouldn't it? Turns into the like his version.
Turns into Lorne 20014. Hey baby, I'm Lorne 20014.
Like the Nutty Professor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Lorne turns into.
Lorne leaving dick silhouettes around these crimes like the Riddler. That's brilliant.
Oh my God! All right, so we done with this guy for a while.
Heck. We'll be back soon to talk about Lorne again.
I think a couple days.
We'll never dry up about this topic. Let's be honest. I've been at it 3 years, and here we still are.
Still moist.
But anyway, any closing comments, guys? That doesn't relate to my personal habits of sending photos and organising junior discos.
Excellent.
Well, that's everything I wanted to talk about.
We'll do another stream on that on your channel, Adam.
Yeah, exactly.
Just title it Andy's Junior Disco.
and no, I'm going to title it properly: Andrew Birkin's Pedo Disco. Under 16s only. And Andrew.
I was in an adult chat room.
Yeah.
Do you know what makes me laugh about that? When he always like said, "I was in an adult chat room." Well, you're not gonna go in an under 16s chat room, are you? And say, "Hello, everybody."
Hi, kids.
I'm here.
Hi, it's me.
You're a little cutie.
You're second daddy.
Nobody will talk to you. I will, sweetheart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was in an adult chat room. Yes, talking to 13-year-old girls. What fucking difference? That's like saying if you molest a kid in anywhere other than a playground, it's not a crime.
That's right, or school, or yeah.
Oh, what you're about? I molested her in the street, so that's an adult place. I shouldn't be going to prison.
I wish I could just record little things that you say and release them.
You've been saying that for years, Adam. You're far too lazy to do anything like that.
As well, there's so much incriminating evidence. Like, make this massive long montage of you just saying how you rape kids.
Shut up.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, let me say this real quick. There was something that was brought up. Lorne should actually thank perverted justice. I hate to say this. Oh, well, I'm sure he'll hate for me to say this. They had him, obviously, with Kayla. They had him, he didn't even have to show up at the house. They had him with the sending pornography to a child. They had him even with solicitation, even if he didn't go. There'd be less of a case of intent there. But the other thing is those two other decoys that he had them talk to, that he had talked to, Kimmy and the other one, I can't remember her name. But
Disney Girl.
If they went any further with that, he would have exposed himself to them too. And we'd be looking at 3 counts.
Lorne did admit in one of the calls to Tiffany that he was glad that he doesn't mean it, but he said that he was glad he got caught by perverted justice because Tiffany made him realise that there would have been. And it was one of the moments where I thought, fucking hell, as Lorne's finally started to admit it, where he said, if he hadn't have got caught, there would have been more after Kayla. Now, whether he was telling Tiffany what he wanted to hear...
Did he say that?
He did say that. He did say that, yes.
I believe it.
He did say that. Now, what I think happens sometimes, and obviously I can't be certain about this, so feel free to disagree with me, is that every now and again he has these moments of truth that come to the surface. But he's so used to lying and denying the truth that you can't just snap out of it in one little moment of realization. You have to work at it, and you have to recognize your own mind structures and identify them when they arise. And he hasn't got the determination, the intelligence, or the patients or anything to do that.
You can't have self-awareness when you're deluded like that.
Yeah, but
it's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you've got to want to break out of, and it takes a lot of willpower. It's a little bit like giving up smoking, and if we look at Lorne's lack of ability to give up smoking, have you tried giving up smoking, Adam, or do you just not bother?
I went like a whole 2 weeks
Day.
without smoking. I was vaping though.
Oh, that's not really giving up then, is it?
Logan's right about what you said, that it's hard to tell when Lorne's telling the truth, especially when you know what his intentions are. And in this case, he writes, "Dog, he was saying anything he could to get in the end zone with Tiffany."
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But I believe there was elements of the truth, though.
Yeah, no, I think that it was a breakthrough for him mentally.
But it doesn't seem to have done him much good, does it? Because you know what would the frustrating thing was when you thought she got a breakthrough, in the next call he was back to square one again and said, "I never wanted to go there," and Tiffany's like, "For fuck's sake."
Most of his calls, and this is what's kind of so fascinating yet frustrating about him, it's like he's constantly he'll say, "Yeah, I take responsibility," and then the moment he says that, he'll then backtrack and say, "But you shouldn't have let me do this or that." He constantly does that.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of funny also the way he's so blasé about his violations and the threat of going back to prison and everything else. At one point when he said, "Oh, should I let him know so that I'll just take the class, I'll start all over again?" And I'm thinking, if he only knew that he's really about to start all over again. He's going to start all over again in jail and then in prison, and then he's going to try it again. I mean, they're going to take him way back at this point. But if he only knew at that point, I don't think he had any clue of the jeopardy he was in. None. This is a highly diluted lack of self-awareness, whatever it is, whatever's going on. Situational awareness. He has no situational awareness at all.
Well, I think we're very briefly about to be joined by somebody who can personally vouch for his lack of awareness. Hello.
Hello.
Oh my God. Team person here. All right.
How's it going?
Hi, Tiff.
Hey.
We were talking about Lorne's penis, Tiff.
Oh yeah, what exactly about it?
We were asking. My question was like, have we all seen it? Actually, Adam, you didn't answer that question.
No, I've seen it.
Oh right, okay. Did you enjoy it?
No.
Oh, okay.
That means yeah.
Should I?
How often have you been woken up by that horrible sight of Lorne's Mr. Penis?
Way too many times. way too many times.
Tiffany, can I ask you a question? First of all, how are you holding up? Everything okay? I'm just curious. Okay.
I'm not in jail.
Okay, good. I kind of went over a theory about what I think the prosecution is going to be looking at his revocation hearing. Did you hear any of that?
No, I didn't. I was on the lull.
Okay. Okay. All day. All right.
Yeah.
Well, the in a nutshell, I think it's a lot more than the alcohol. I think it's more to the second and third reason, which is the failure of the rape class, and also the failure of the I should say the impermissible use of the internet. Mm-hmm. Are you getting that impression? Are you getting that it's a little bit more than alcohol that Lorne seems to be thinking is the issue?
Yeah, I think it's the totality of everything. Certainly he's going to say that he failed the polygraph, and that, of course, got him out of rape class. And rape class was a condition of his probation. It was one of the most important things in his probation. What's the
correlation there? What's the correlation, do you think, between his failure of the polygraph and thrown out of rape class? Is there something that happened in the polygraph that caused that?
Well, the polygraph was a condition of the rape class. It was part of the contract.
Right.
So
okay.
because he failed it, then he was then removed from the class. It wasn't the first time that he failed.
Right.
We know that he's failed a couple of times. And so, yeah.
Can we assume? Can we assume that it was that they were focusing more than just on alcohol for his failure?
There's no way to really know that unless we know
Yeah.
the questions. I don't think that all of the questions had to pertain to the alcohol. I think they definitely had to do with other things as well. If you look at one of the violations, you probably went over it where he's using the smartphone. He had one in when he wasn't supposed to.
How did they find out about that, Tiff?
Well, and that's kind of where I was leading to, is that I think it was part of the polygraph that somewhere along the way, there was a question that had to do with, do you have any unauthorized devices? Or he knew that was going to be a question, so he confessed before that was going to happen. He will tell the story that Maria knew about it. He's the one who told her. He handed it over, no big deal. But everyone knows that that's just his spin on it. I think really what happened is she was going to find out.
Yeah, he's not going to follow the truth.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it was basically he was cornered, and that's how you're going to get a confession out of him. That's the only way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just interesting the way, and again, I understand that the polygraph is part of the rape class, and if he fails that, but he's failed it before, and he hasn't been thrown out.
Well, he's been violated before as well. On his probation, he wasn't sent to jail. I think, obviously, he's looking at the times when he is signing these violations. He's looking at it as if they are basically just acknowledgments that he knows he did something wrong. He's basically just signing it. It's sort of like if you were to get written up if you were at work or something. And it's just going to go in his file, and we move on from there. But basically, he was signing his citation.
Right.
And right. So the only thing is that he wasn't brought to jail at that time. That's the only thing. It's sort of like if you get pulled over for speeding and say you were going, a certain amount over the speed limit, and they had the option to take you to jail, but instead, right. So instead they give you a citation and you're going to appear in court at a later date. So that doesn't mean that you weren't arrested. It just means you didn't go to jail. So that's the kind of distinction that he tries to make, and thinking that it's not that serious. He got away with it again. He was able to fool everyone and just say, we're sorry. But, in reality, he was digging his own grave, basically. He's the one who got him where he is right now.
Do you know about what Maria told the court? Do you know anything about that at his detention hearing?
I don't. I would love to get my hands on that transcript. I think it was beautiful. I think that she basically outlined everything from the very beginning, all the shit that he tries to pull, all the lies that he tells, everything to do with the internet. I think that she was outlining for the court all of his bad judgment, that basically he can't be trusted at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what she did. I think she sat there for however long and just sandbagged him with all of his bullshit.
Wow. So it did. And again, I'm not trying to do any spoiler alerts or anything like that, but have you had any discussions? Do you know of any discussions since that hearing? What his attitude is, whether he's getting the idea that this is more serious than he originally thought it was, or is he getting scared? Is he anything like that?
Well, I haven't spoken to him, but I think that he was under the impression before he had the hearing on the 22nd, when he was hoping to get out of jail, he was a lot more optimistic. And, he was thinking they're going to allow him to get out. He has said to me previously, they don't want to put me in jail.
Yeah.
And so that's really what he was hoping for. And that's just to make himself feel better. I think that he, at this point, knows that he's going to spend time. I think his lawyer has told him you're going to spend time in jail. It's just a matter of determining how much that's going to be. And what's interesting for Lorne is that he sees this one time as his first probation violation. So he only thinks that he's going to be getting a couple of months, but he doesn't realize that every single time that he's been signing his violations that he's violating. So he has 5 of them against him. And that's what the judge is going to have to consider. And that is why on his final order saying that he's going to have to stay in jail until this revocation hearing takes place. That's why it's so beautiful and perfect. I want to print it out.
Exactly.
I want it on my refrigerator. I want to read it every single day. It's the most beautiful statement, basically saying you've been fucking around this whole time, and we know you have. This whole time when you thought that you were so smart and you were getting away with everything, you were getting away with nothing.
I think it's that we enjoy, and obviously what you're saying, Tiff, is like, it's good to know that justice happens sometimes, that people like him can't always get away with the bullshit. And, you know, because I think that's the reason why we like we were so intrigued by the show, is you've got this guy who was trying the most disgusting thing, and to see him get caught like that, it's like karma in action, isn't it? And to see he's not taking his offence seriously, he's fucked probation around, he's fucked his family around, he's fucked Betty around, he's fucked everybody around, and now it's finally bitten him on the arse, as it should do, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the moment in the show when Chris Hansen walks out in front of these guys, their demeanor completely changed because they know. They're so happy. When you look at Lorne, for example, he's practically skipping into the house.
His giddy-ass smile.
Giddy-ass smile. Yeah.
After a kiss on the cheek 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then as soon as Chris walks out, his face just drops. And that's one of the things I think we all love about that show, is seeing that moment when he walks out and they know that they're fucked, that it's over.
You know what I found? I found that his most anxious, I hate to use that word, his most anxiety-filled or shocking was not necessarily when Chris came out, but when Chris walked around the chair and showed he had his chat log. That's when he took a big breath, and you could see his chest just heave up and down, and shake his head a little bit. That's when he knew he was in shit. I think he thought he could talk his way out of that shit. I don't really watch baseball or whatever you're saying before that. But as soon as Chris came around and he had that big telephone book in his hands, and he knew at that point he was in for a very uncomfortable hot seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tiffany, a lot of people want you to tell him to shut the fuck up. You've got to start. Let's start with Exalted One. They keep asking. So.
Well, everyone needs to shut the fuck up. Probably mostly me.
That covers everybody.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap it up. Tiff, thanks for joining us. Briefly,
Yeah.
It was cool. You what?
Like you could, thanks for joining us. So you know.
That was awesome. That's a treat.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a good night, you guys.
Yeah.
So thanks for everybody who's joined us. Okay, bye. Yeah, you'll have to say that before you go, Tiff.
I think she's gone.
Oh.
Okay, bye.
Oh, right. She's still there.
Tiff actually trolled us with the Lorne goodbye.
She's done it. Well, she had to, really. It's a calling card or leaving card. Lorne's is like a silhouette, as has been suggested, of his penis, and you know.
The bat call of the moon, like the bat call, the spotlight, instead of the bat picture of the bat, it'll be his penis.
That's just... Oh, that's fantastic. Right. Anyway, guys, thank you, Adam, for joining us. I'm sorry to interrupt your evening of FIFA.
Yeah, well, no, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. It's nice to talk to you properly, Shin. Nice to.
Yeah, great talking to you, Adam. I'm gonna get a doctor's note to get excused from rape class tonight, but this is good.
Well, I think after our session this evening, you can do that, because we are. the three rape-keteers.
Right, okay. Thanks for joining us, Shin. I do appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Adam. Thank you, Andrew.
For everybody in the chat,
And Tip.
thank you for joining us. Well, quite a lot. I know it was like I've not like scheduled it. It was just an idea we came up with today. We just thought, why not? It's always nice to, waste a bit of time when I could have been exercising and whatnot. Andrew running with the bullies now. Well, I don't think anybody's a bully here, so I think you're talking shit. But there you go. Right. Okay. So, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Oh my God. This person's really going nuts here. Okay, say something about me. I feel left out. Come on.
We are. Well, the thing is,
say something about me.
if you are, a genuine person who's got these concerns, we are gonna do a stream where we're gonna talk about the catfishing of Lorne, and it's a fun thing to explore. We can talk about the rights and wrongs, what our personal opinions are, what our perspectives are. But at the end of the day, we don't have to judge or criticise another person. We can say what our feelings are. Some people are adult enough to have a discussion about it rather than getting silly. If you want to get a bit silly, then so be it. But it's on you at the end of the day. So
You sound like Max and Paddy when they're the bouncers in Road to Nowhere.
in what I've only seen that once.
That's good.
Well, I don't think Blue-Eyed Wolf. I don't think I've seen your comments much. I don't remember seeing you pop up before. But like I said, we're going to be talking about this in more detail soon. So if you want to join us, then it's not a problem.
Yeah, if nobody will talk to you, sweetheart, I'm a good guy. You can talk to us.
Don't listen to him. He attends rape class. Right. Oh yeah, I'll be all over it. Right. Okay. It's been fun, and thank you everybody, even the people that have potentially criticised our stream or whatever. It's all good. We'll speak to you soon.